Hi, this is Joelle, your podcast host. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge that we are recording this podcast on unceded Indigenous lands. Tiohtià:ke, Montreal is recognized as the custodian land of the Kanien'kehá:ka Nation. This serves as a reminder that this history, which is often forgotten or neglected, enabled us to be here. As a white settler, this is especially important for me to recognize the role my ancestors played in colonization. That feminist hopes to create a space for dialogue, exchange, and critical reflection. With that being said, I invite you to think critically about your institutional and personal relation with the land on which you stand.
Look at that feminist. Oh my god, she's so annoying. Yeah, I know, she talks too much.
We can still get lovers if you this one. Keeping the car, it's a legend. When you want to when you confident, say hi, just say hi to my independence.
Hi guys.
Hello.
I feel like the more and more we do it, the more we dance to the intro at the beginning.
Yes.
But it's always the same, it's always the same little move.
Definitely.
So today we're talking about internalized misogyny, which is very important. And I want to start with, trusty little definition from Urban Dictionary.
Period.
Yeah. Because maybe some people listening don't know what this is. And basically, internalized misogyny, according to the Urban Dictionary, is distancing and belittling women along with shaming them due to believing your gender is inferior. That's like the top definition. I think it's pretty a very simple definition of it. And I wanted to give everyone today a little history lesson to start and finally use my women studies minor to something.
Exactly.
Because, every time people are like, you're studying that? Okay. What's the purpose? It's like, it's for today,
Only
all of
today.
this.
That was just for that episode.
But yeah, I can finally put it to use. It's going to be very basic and I'm not going to go into any detail, but it's just to kind of give you an idea of where that sort of came from, like internalized misogyny. And I'm pretty sure everyone has heard of it, but the not like other girls girl trope, where that kind of all came from. So if we take back, go to like the 1860s to like the 1920s, that was like the first wave of feminism. And the first wave feminism, there's a lot of issues with that. It was very white.
It was just about getting the vote for white women.
Yeah, basically. It was
white middle class and upper class women.
Their fight was the fight for suffrage, which suffrage is the right to vote. And their big focus was that, getting the right to vote. But then second wave feminism, which is more like the 60s to the 1960s to the 1980s.
Yeah.
And like right where the civil rights movement occurred. That was more...
with the Vietnam War as well.
Yeah, exactly. That was more about gender roles. Because the thing about that is that...
In the workplace and
it was after war.
And
Yeah, it was after the war. And during the war, women had to take on the jobs that men had during war because all the men were at war. So now women found themselves in like those, in the workforce and in those really men-dominated fields. And when the war was over... they decided, hey, like, no, we actually want to keep doing this. And that's when it kind of expanded and women started being not just like in the home setting, but they started doing more jobs. But even then there was power imbalance you could see right away because women who decided to keep doing certain jobs, they would be paid less than men for the same job.
And it was a lot of similar types of jobs as well.
Yeah.
A lot of like secretary office work type stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So what they did is they said, okay, we're going to give you jobs outside the home, but they're going to be very nurturing. So like nurses and like you said, secretary, like tending to someone. It was never really like you're in a position of power, like all of that. So there was still a big imbalance in gender roles, and second wave feminism really like fought for that. And in second wave feminism, a big thing that they felt like they needed to do in order to be taken seriously was to separate femininity from feminism.
Yeah.
Because they felt like everything that had been associated with femininity was not associated with someone that works outside the home and that is, a breadwinner for the family.
It was associated with oppression.
It was associated with oppression. It was associated with just weakness and stuff like that. So that's when you would see, very radical ideals of like not wearing heels, not wearing makeup, like burning bras, that big like thing about like they would burn bras. They all of that, like bras, makeup, heels, they saw that as inventions of men to like keep women oppressed.
Which
crazy.
is true.
It's true.
Like bras and like razors for women, and it's all capitalism and patriarchy.
It is.
That's so insane. Like, because it is a reality, right? It was a form of oppression, but like, to whom to go?
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Because when you think about it, like, right, they were fighting to get into the workforce and to get into those jobs, and it's really interesting. But when we think about it, if we think about racialized women, they've been working since they were here, right? Since they were here, especially Black women, they were working. They were just not paid.
Yeah.
But they like that wasn't like the same fight in a sense.
Yeah.
And
Like there was more than one fight happening.
there were more than one fight, and also what's interesting is that internalized that desire to remove yourself from femininity is totally opposite to so many women, Black women of the time, because they were striving to get those things, because especially being darker skin was associated to masculinity, so we were striving to
it wasn't seen as beautiful,
to be seen as feminine, right? It's interesting.
And like get those beauty ideals that were like portrayed in the media as very like white.
And there was a lot of racist depictions of Black women that sort of made them masculine. And then there was also, the hypersexualization of Black women as well at the same time.
If we were to be seen as women, we would be like over-sexualized.
I don't remember her name. I wish I did. But basically, she was an African woman who was very curvaceous, and her body was displayed in a museum in England. I don't remember which museum either. But like until the 80s.
Yes, I remember.
It's disgusting.
Her genitals.
Oh yeah, her genitals as well.
Displayed like it's a statue or something.
It's fucking crazy.
Like she wasn't a person.
Yeah, basically. And like that was to show like, oh yeah, you see how physically they're like deformed, and
and like they're different.
How much they're not
dehumanizing.
Dehumanized basically. They're not women. They're not real women. So different fights.
But from that, like we can see how like, the not like other girls, like it all makes sense now, because those not like other girls, they were trying to really like dissociate from femininity, because they were trying to really strive for like, no, we're actually smart, and and it was something where like brains could not come with beauty and femininity. It was two separate things. And I think that it's sad because this trope carried on like in our society today in the media. Like we can see it so much in movies. I don't know about you guys, but all the movies I've watched when I was a kid, like the the chick flicks, it was always like, and one I can think of right now that's really like poppin' is Miss Congeniality.
Oh, Miss Congeniality.
She's really like, she's a tomboy, right? She's a tomboy, but she's one of the boys.
She doesn't care about makeup and about looking pretty.
Because she's better than that, right?
I like to get my hands dirty.
Yeah. And then there's always, in that trope, there's always the fact that she's also, when she tries to get to be feminine, she fails. So when you see her enter the competition and she has to wear heels and she has to do all these like makeup-y things, but like, oh, I don't know how to apply a lipstick. Like, oh, that goes on my lips. I didn't know, like very much like,
But then at the end, I think she kind of embraces femininity, and I think that's sort of the message, which isn't inherently bad, but it feels very male gazy. It doesn't feel like an empowering feminist thing to me. I mean, I've also only seen this movie like once, and it's been years, so this is just from what I recall.
I watched it recently. I watched it like last semester because I don't know. I wanted to.
Is it the movie with Sandra Bullock?
Yeah, she's
Mark Ruffalo.
She's like
with
in
Mark
the
Ruffalo
army,
too.
and she has to like infiltrate a beauty pageant
Yes.
for some reason.
I think there was The Take. I don't know if you watched The Take on YouTube, but
I do.
You do, yes. Y'all should all watch The Take.
Yeah.
She talked about it to me this morning.
And they talked about that, and they said, like, they were explaining how when she was one of the boys, she wouldn't be able to date at all, and like to enter.
Yeah, she was
romantic-
asexualized.
Exactly. She was asexualized, and as soon as she became more feminine, the male character,
The male interest is now like,
Now he was interested. Now it was
Yeah.
like, you always,
Yikes.
I was always into you, like,
Yeah.
like, and it's crazy because it really fits into the gender roles of like, women's worth is beauty and men's worth is like the brains and stuff like that, the power, the money.
But I don't think it's the same because I feel like it's very much, and in that movie we can see like at the beginning the guy like brings a bimbo with him, but she's very dumb, right? But I think that there's this big trope of like, oh, now she went through this transformation of like, like the ugly duckling becoming beautiful. Now she's like almost like worthy of like a relationship because she has the brains and she has the beauty. Like she's both.
Because she's both.
Yeah, but like before, at the beginning of the movie, the guy who was dating this dumb bimbo, like, yeah, of course she's super beautiful and she's like classy, whereas this, Sandra Bullock's character is very much like, oh, she's eating a donut and like, which can I just say?
That makes me think of? It makes me think of Jennifer Lawrence. I think Jennifer Lawrence really embodies
I just wanna eat a
that and like the
pizza.
cool girl trope. Like she trips, she eats pizza. She's just like you and me, but she's not.
Yeah.
Because she's
a
a very rich
multi-millionaire.
movie star.
Yeah.
So it's like a superficial relatability with her, and I'm not going to say that it's like totally fake, but it definitely is persona a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's to make her likable and relatable, even though
relatable,
she's
yeah.
not.
Definitely.
And in the end, like she's still like a beautiful woman. Like
Yeah, she fits beauty. She fits beauty.
Exactly.
standards.
She fits
Yeah, what if
beauty
she
standards.
didn't? Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. What if she didn't?
Exactly.
What if what if she was an ugly woman? Like,
Yeah.
What if she was
society's-
a woman over 40,
Yeah.
or a plus size woman, or a woman of color,
Yeah.
or
that
gay?
really bit, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
wouldn't pass, like
Yeah.
men wouldn't be attracted
No,
to
then
that
she'd
at
be
all.
like sloppy and annoying,
exactly.
and like
Or she'd be cool, but she'd just be like, oh yeah, you're
Yeah,
like
she
the cool
would've-
friend, like you're in the
Exactly.
and
the
then
guy
she would
group,
be
but-
asexualized.
Yeah, exactly.
And she very much is sexualized.
Yeah.
So like she's kind of a figure that women can like and find sort of relatable, but not in a way that's going to make her undesirable.
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah, and I mean it's the
She
same.
cracked the code. She did it.
It's the same scenario in every movie. Like Princess Diaries is the same thing. Like she's the ugly duckling that goes through like a transformation, but like she's this princess who's very beautiful, but no, like she's really relatable because she doesn't know how to do all these princess things that like
So true.
yeah. And then there's like in opposition to that, there's like the super ultra feminine characters who are always, the mean
Demonized
girls.
or mocked.
Yes.
Or both.
Yeah, both. Or like I feel like there's the trope of like the mean girls.
Yes.
Or she's really dumb.
Mean-
and she's there as like a laughing stock to like
Yeah, Mean Girls
Yeah.
is a perfect example,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
There was Regina George, who was like very feminine, but the mean girl,
Demon.
and then the other
And
one,
then
the
Karen
demon.
is the one you laugh at.
Exactly.
And
They're
Katie
both
doesn't like them
blonde.
at the beginning.
Yeah.
She wears like flannels and like no makeup.
Yeah.
And she likes animals and she doesn't understand social cues.
Yeah.
And then she becomes like them, and that's bad. I mean, she was doing bad stuff too. But like if you're looking at the superficial stuff, like how she dresses and does her makeup, like that is not inherently linked to her being a bad person. But like that's how it's
Exactly.
presented.
yeah, I think it's
So true.
that's how it's presented in so many movies. Like even in like High School Musical, like Sharpay, she's the more feminine character. Like, she's always wearing
She's
pink.
very
and-
hyper feminine.
Yeah, but
whereas
she's the main
Gabriella is a
character.
woman in STEM, which good for her. But
It's true. Definitely.
She is very feminine, but in a less aggressive way. Like, it's not the color pink for her.
Yeah.
It's like
And she's
white
not blonde.
dresses. Yeah, she's not blonde. It's white dresses and girl next door.
Yeah.
So true.
That's crazy. And then after that, we think like, oh, but like, why are all these women trying to be one of the boys and trying to be like not like other girls? It's because
And then
look
that's
at
a
all the
pick-me.
media that we had to consume when we were kids, and we were
They were
being told.
encouraging us to do
Yeah,
it.
we were being told that if you wear makeup, you're gonna be superficial
You're fake,
and not smart and whatever. So like, it's such a conflict.
Yeah.
So true. Yeah, because you're trying to survive here, right? You definitely.
That's what it comes down to. At the end of the
Exactly.
day.
You're
Especially
trying
in
to
high
survive.
school. Oh my god, you really try to
Yes.
survive.
Oh
in
my
high
god,
school.
they would judge
Yeah.
the girly girls so much, call
Yeah.
them dumb, or just see them as mean or as a competition and stuff like that. And if you were one of the boys, now you were the cool one. You would not be bothered
Yeah.
at all. That's crazy. Like, it's really internalized. So when we have the pick-me's of today's, you can't say nothing because you're like, okay,
You can't really win either way.
Yeah.
either way.
And I think it's also for women, it was something to get validation from your girlfriends, but it was something else to be validated by the men in your like age range.
Yeah,
I
I'm
remember in
interested
high
to-
school it was something really important of like, oh, if you were friends with guys,
Oh,
like,
now you're the cool one.
yeah, like you were even better, like, which is so toxic.
Yeah, and I see that like a lot of like all women friendships were often like
There's some really
mocked.
weird dynamics that can happen in female friendships.
Yeah.
Competition, jealousy, kind of putting each other down, but in subtle ways. It's all like very subtle and like toxic, and like it's not that far away from me. I had a friend that I stopped being friends with last year, and now in like retrospect, I'm noticing all these weird little patterns and aspects of that relationship that were not good at all. Yeah.
Wow.
And then there's also the problem that, like, you know, there was always this girl that was like, I'm not friends with girls because girls are gossipy or
And that's
toxic
what
and
I mean.
drama.
Yeah.
I hate drama.
Yeah, that's why I prefer being friends with boys, because boys like are not
They're
like
so
dramatic
chill.
and
And
whatever.
mind you, men are
yeah.
better. Like, they love to gossip. They
Yes.
love to gossip. So
Oh,
like,
yes.
Yes,
it's
yes.
Can I bring
insane.
up a recent example? This is a little bit of tea, but I
Okay.
heard that. So all three of us are journalism students at Concordia,
Yes, we are.
and I heard that
Just
there
expose us.
is a group chat called "Chill People in Journalism," and it's guys.
I'm not in there.
I'm not in
because
it.
because it's guys. From what
Chill
I've heard,
people, okay.
it's guys.
Okay,
and
we'll see you guys.
And I kind of, I was in like a little group of journalism people, and I was like, yeah, don't you think that's like kind of like a microaggression? Because it's part of that whole stereotype that women are like shrill and annoying and like mean or whatever.
And the
they
group
didn't
chat
like
is so
see it, but I was
chill.
like, that is, yeah, I think it is too. But it was just,
so weird.
anyways.
Okay, guys.
I know, and I think it's a little fucked
Oh my
up.
God, you just dropped a bomb. Like, I am shocked.
I didn't know that. That's crazy.
This is just what I've heard.
Oh my God. I mean, I knew like from the
I can give you more details after.
Yeah, later.
I'm not
Yeah.
going to use names.
no, but like in our general, because we have a general group chat for like all the people in journalism,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
could see, you know, the misogyny sometimes like popping here and there, and I could see that
mild.
No, it's like male. There's a lot of male entitlement that's
Yes.
become very apparent.
yes. And I could see it, but I would
Yeah.
always be just like, oh yeah, it's like their problem. But now that you're telling me this, oh my God. And I feel like I have names popping into my head.
Exactly.
But yeah, you'll tell me later, like, who it is. Because
wow.
I want to
And
know.
I have a story from the other day that you guys are gonna laugh at. But
Oh gosh.
so do you guys want to talk about like your personal journeys with that
Yeah.
a little bit?
Yeah, I was gonna talk about that because you know how like we mentioned how like guys like to gossip too.
yes.
When I was in CJEP, I played for an all-girls American like contact football team.
We stand.
Yeah.
That seems fun. I feel like I would have liked to
It was
do
so
that.
fun. Yes.
Especially because I feel like
liberating.
women oftentimes have a lot of like pent up aggression that we don't get to
Exactly,
let out.
exactly.
It's not
Yeah.
socially acceptable like it is for men. So
That and boxing. I don't know if you guys ever tried boxing.
I did a little bit of kung fu when I was younger. I want to try doing martial arts again when it's like, you know, a little easier and better.
Yeah.
Some type of martial arts would be really nice to like punch something.
Yeah, sometimes I just want to punch something.
Exactly. No, but that's what boxing is.
I think that would be really healthy for women to do a little bit more aggressive
true.
sports.
Yeah.
And for men to do, I don't know, arts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Write a diary. Go to
Yeah.
therapy. Please.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Knock it out.
But yeah, no, so I did that. And then I was, when I was in CJEP, I went like, because I was like, oh, I want to participate in sports, right? So I went to the sports page, and the way that it's set up is you have like women, and then you click and you have all the sports for women. And then you have, you know, men, and then you have all the sports for men. And then you have football.
You could do a whole episode just about like sport.
Yeah. And how problematic. But yeah, and then you had football. And for every sports, it was like women's basketball or men's basketball. But football was not, it wasn't written like men's football. It was just written
It's sort
football.
of implied.
Exactly. It was like implied that it was all men.
Yeah.
But then I was like, you know what? It's not written. So I'm going to show up to the...
Period.
Yeah. So I was like, I didn't just show up because I was like, that'd be weird. But like I wrote to like the sports coordinator, and I was
You
like...
gave him a heads up.
What's up with that?
No, but I wrote to him and I was like, hey, look, I'm already playing and I'd be really interested in getting involved with like the school team. Like, can I was going to say audition, but
Audition.
me.
Can I audition for your team?
Can I audition? No, can I try out? And he said, yes, like you're welcome to try out, whatever. I was like, okay, yeah. Like he can't just be like, no.
I want to
But
see footage of Joelle playing football.
No.
no, you don't. There's this clip of me like, because in my women's team, we were the only Canadian team on our league. So we were playing against team in like New York, Maine, Baltimore and stuff like that. And one time, like American girls are big. Like at least the ones. No, but like the ones we were playing against, like on all the teams, they were all very like, and I don't mean big as in fat. I mean they were tall, like broad shoulders and like very intimidating. And I'm small, like I'm really small.
are.
And this one time I went to like the girl who was carrying the ball, I was like, I had her and I was like, there was nobody else. It was me who was about to tackle her. But I was
the main character, you guys.
Oh yes. I was looking at her and I was not looking in my peripheral vision. This big girl comes at me like from the side and I don't see her and she just knocks me and I like fly.
Oh my God.
So yeah, no, you don't want to see that. But
I need
basically,
to see that.
the reason why I'm talking about this is because I experienced being on both teams, like an all-girls team and an all-boys teams.
Yeah.
And one, I want to just preface, there was so much more gossiping and talking behind people's back in the boys team.
What did they gossip about?
Like, oh, like I fucked that girl and then he went to fuck that girl. Oh no, that's like my girl, or like stuff like that. Or just sometimes it was just like internal, like within the team.
I'm so
like
intrigued because I've never ever been friends with guys. I've never wanted to.
I mean, no, me neither. I was not friends with them. I was never ever like friends with them.
Some guys are great.
But never like, you know, and I did cheerleading, so I was never surrounded by guys. Not in school, not in my friend group, not in my extracurricular activities. So
no, like back then, I liked to think I was, you know, one of the guys. But no, I was not.
You don't want to.
Because I was always singled out. Like even if you try to be like, like I was trying. Let's say like we would be on the bus, like going to a game.
Yeah.
I was still like, you know, I was the one girl, like, and
Always trying to get into what's happening.
And okay, can I just say one quick story on the bus? You know, it's all like rows of 2 people, but then at the back there's this one table,
One long.
where you have like 4 seats, and that's like usually reserved for like the cool people, right?
Yeah.
And then,
even in CJEP, it was still like that, the bus hierarchy.
Yes.
It's so funny.
but I mean, because it's the table, right? And they would like play poker there. I don't fucking know how to play poker. But one time, this guy's like, oh, hey, Joelle, like, you're going to sit there, like, with us.
Wow, you were chosen.
I made it.
Oh, yeah. And I was like, okay. No, at the beginning, I was like, no, like, I can't sit there.
I'm dead.
Yeah. Oh, my God. I cringe when I think about my time in CJEP, okay?
No, but
like,
that's such a cool thing to do. I really respect that.
yeah. I mean, it was very... how how can I say?
That is not something I would have done for multiple reasons, but
It was very all the word I have in mind is intimidating, but that's not what I want to say. Humiliating.
Really?
Yeah.
that's intense.
Because on the one hand, like when I was with them and around them, like I thought we were, you know, as much like not necessarily friends, but you know, teammates. Yeah, like and like friends as like teammates can be. But at the same time, I really felt like sometimes I was just the joke of the team, in the sense that like they would include me, but then like in the end, when it really comes down to it, I wasn't really like
Yo, why is
a
this
part of the team. And then on the outside, like people who were not on the team and were looking at me, like this girl who's on the football team, I was the joke of like all the other girls, because they were like, she's the like not like other girls, and like yeah, because they were like
from both sides. You were kind of.
It's like from both sides. I was like, okay, I don't belong with these girls because they're like, oh, you're just trying to get with the guys, like you're just trying to, you know.
Do you think it would be like that if you were in Cégep today? Because I don't know when that was, but you haven't been in Cégep for
I'm not that old, okay? Thank you, Nadia. But
no, that's not my point. But I don't know. I feel like even
I think it would still be like that. Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
okay, because I feel like things are a little bit different, and girls are a little bit more aware.
Yeah,
than
things
they
are
used to be.
changing, but not that fast.
I don't know.
But it's
Maybe
like
I'm
it wasn't obvious. It's not
Yeah.
like they would come to me and be like,
That's true.
You're trying to do that. No,
That's
it was
it.
just them not talking to me, or just me like hearing them like
Yeah.
like you know, like gossiping.
Isolating you. Yeah, and that's so. It's so crazy because in female friendships, like even if you only hang out with girls or like just be part of it, and I was guilty of this like back in secondary too and stuff like that. You would want to be one of like the different one, or like the one that's like
The edgy one.
I thought it was different, but like in a different way. Not I was never trying to be like masculine or hang out with the guys or anything like that.
Yeah.
I've always been like very feminine and never had a problem with that.
too.
So I guess I thought I was different because
In the end, we all thought we were there.
yeah, no, but I thought I was different because like I like to read. Wow, I like to read.
That's it.
Or you know, I've always thought I was smart, but like I
don't like to wear
I don't know, it was more
makeup.
like arrogant.
Yeah.
And j'étais pas la plus maquillée or like
Same.
fake nails or stuff like that. So I was like still sort of judgy of like even more feminine girls.
Yeah.
Or girls that hung out more with guys. It seemed like even though pick me wasn't like in the vocabulary, I still kind of picked up on that and got those vibes.
Yeah.
So I was still judgy, very
same,
judgy.
Same. Like I think because I was like part of the football team now, I had to be this girl who's like not feminine and oh no, like I don't like to wear makeup, you know. But it was a real conflict because inside of me I knew I was very feminine and I like makeup, so it was this whole internal conflict. But here's the thing, right? It's like it became much more of a big deal than it really started as, because when I sent that email, it was really just, hey, I just want to play football. Like it was not that deep, right?
Yeah.
And then when I became like a part of the team and I would like go like to practices and whatnot, it became that sort of thing of like, okay, now I'm like the girl who's on the football team, and now I felt like I had to represent
Fulfill
a certain
something.
trope of like the not like other girl.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
It was also not wanting to be basic for me, which is still, I mean, not something I aspire to, but it was definitely more of a fear, I guess, before, that someone would think I was basic or dumb. Those were the ones I really, really like.
You feared.
I was always trying to like prove myself that I was like interesting and smart and funny, which also, if you want to go a little bit deeper, I was trying to overcompensate in those areas because I didn't feel like I was pretty enough. So I was trying to overcompensate in other areas.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
I was thinking of last year. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
that makes sense. I see that.
I agree. Same, actually. I like one of my best friend, my closest friend, my love, Mimi, if you see this.
Shout out.
She's a very, very, very feminine presenting woman. And in all aspects of her life, she is. And when we first met, I was not, like, I was with other... I'm not like the other girls' friends back then, before. And that's the attitude I presented myself as. And also I couldn't afford to buy all the feminine things that I wanted to buy. And I wanted to people to focus on my brains, because that's what my parents told me.
Same.
Like, oh, you don't want to be like those girls. You want to be the smart one. You want to be, you know? And when I met my friend, I had all those preconception that I projected upon her, and I really was like that was damaging to our friendship at first, because like she was smart. She's smart. She was super educated, and she just had different perspectives, and she was embracing her femininity and was proud of it.
But even as women, sometimes we have a hard time seeing other women as like multifaceted.
Exactly.
I heard something in a TikTok that we personify men and we objectify women.
Yep.
Which was like... And the example in the TikTok was like, she was showing pictures of like male celebrities, and she was like, why do I think he's a great friend based on this picture? Yeah. Why do I think he's a good listener when I see this? And then, I don't know. That was really funny. And that was like, that's true. We do be personifying men.
Yeah, it's so true. And like, continuing this story, basically.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I keep interrupting.
It's okay. No
it's a
problem.
very bad habit.
No problem. One thing that I like, what caused this big issue is that I would often overcompensate and be arrogant and say, yeah, but you know, I read this book. I love to talk about this. This is my passion. And she shrugged it off a lot, because she was very secure in her femininity. I wasn't, you know, period. Like, she's a baddie and she will always be. But at first I had a really hard time with that, because I was like, why is she not like reacting to this? And it made me even more insecure, and I wanted to overcompensate even more. And one time she was just like, what's up with you? Why are you hating? Yeah. And I had to confront this internalized misogyny that I was projecting and on her. And that was the first time I was shook that someone did not applaud this type of behavior.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
I was like,
such a good way of putting that. Wow.
I was like, what? You're supposed to say that I'm smart. You're supposed to say that
I think that sort of brings up the competition aspect of internalized misogyny. Exactly. It's really like, okay, if she's pretty, then I need to like compete against her, but like in this different way,
because I know I
the way
can't
that we're
compete
talking
there.
about, for sure. Even if that was definitely not something I was thinking, it was all like in the subconscious, all of this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, definitely.
Yeah. No, I have a little story which. I need lip gloss for that. Because let me tell you. So I think I just made the realization now that we're having this conversation, because I went on a date, and that was like 3 years ago, maybe. Like, it was a long time ago, but like it always stuck out to me, because he kept asking me, you know, what are your passions? You know, like, what do you do? Whatever. And at the time, I was very, very into makeup and like beauty YouTube. And I was really, really passionate about it. Like, and I almost like wanted to become like a makeup artist, right? It was never going to happen, but yeah. Anyway, I was really into that. So, you know, I told him like, yeah, like I'm really into makeup or whatever. And he kept insisting like, yeah, but like, what are your passions? And what are your, like, almost as if, like,
this wasn't a real one.
Yes. And I kept like thinking back on it. I kept like thinking like, why did he keep like asking me? I mean, I wasn't just talking about makeup. You know, I mentioned Disney, and I mentioned Formula One and whatever. I mentioned other stuff, but I put a really big emphasis on makeup, because at the time that was the really big part of my life. Wow. But he kept insisting, and I think I've just realized now that we're having this conversation, he probably did not think of makeup as a valid passion, because hobby. It's like, because it's
very
visual,
feminine.
and like,
a lot of the feminine passions that exist.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
I was
for men
a
and women.
cheerleader for 10 years, a competitive cheerleader, and I always had to like justify and be like, no, like it's a sport. I've never like waved pom-poms in my life.
see it as a
like I'm
phase.
throwing bitches in the air trying to catch them. Girls are stepping on my throat, literally stepping on my throat, choking me out. Like I'm sweating bullets, doing suicides and
Oh my God,
push-ups and like
suicides. So hard.
like I went to compete in Florida for 1
Oh,
year.
so you went to
like-
Disney,
Wow,
right?
girl.
Yeah, I mean, not really. We didn't get to go for very long because we were there to compete. But I remember when we were there,
No,
like
but
we
I mean
spent an entire
the
afternoon.
competition is in Disney. No?
Yeah, it's in Orlando. It's at
It's ESPN.
Yeah, ESPN.
That's owned by Disney. So you were on the Disney property, even though you were not like in the parks. Sorry, like that's my.
But yeah, I always had to justify that, and even that is, even if it was a sport and it was a really, really difficult sport, it was still very feminine. So I had to justify that. I've always had to justify my interests and tried to make people understand that they are worthy, that they are intelligent, and so this is an example that I have today, and this is like a recent example. So last year, I got really into K-pop, specifically into BTS, and I felt like I needed to explain to people, like, oh no, it's not just because I think they're attractive.
It's so true.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, like the lyrics are so deep. There's all this meaning. I love what they stand for. The dancing and the music is like really impressive and good quality and all this other stuff. And even today, I sometimes, try to hide that a little bit or justify it,
yeah.
but I'm like aware of it now, and I realize the difference is when I was like 11 or 12, when One Direction and like Justin Bieber were really popping, I was very much like, I'm not like other girls because I don't like them, and then so like come to K-pop.
It's so true.
So I was
You're
like,
just
wow,
like
we
every
love
other girl.
growth.
Yeah.
We love growth. Me fangirling over men at now I'm turning 20 versus when I was 11. And I was like sort of judgy about that. I mean, I also didn't like their music. Like,
Yeah, but I
guys, if you go back to One Direction performances, I'm sorry, they do not hold up.
do not.
They do not.
Justin Bieber though.
No,
I disagree.
but seriously, once you look at
I
K-pop and you
was
look
a
at
One
the West,
Direction fan like all the way.
no, but once you watch K-pop and then you look at Western performances, for most of them, it looks so lazy in comparison.
Yeah, it's true. No, it's true, definitely. But I remember, like you said, we used to shame girls that loved One Direction and Justin Bieber.
And K-pop is a new one, and it's because the
Yeah.
audience is not
Younger,
only, but
changed.
primarily young women.
Yeah.
And we love to tear down the interests of
We
young
do.
women.
We've always done.
And I mean, yeah, a lot of girls have crushes, which is fine.
It's
Let
okay.
girls have crushes.
Boys have crushes too,
There's
so,
a
like,
reason, especially people are so passionate about it. Like, it's beyond just like because thinking someone is attractive, for people to be that passionate about
There
it,
are other
and for you to just
things,
totally
yeah.
dismiss that. Like, I don't know how people feel about K-pop. To me, says a lot about their misogyny or their internalized misogyny.
Yeah. But we've always, especially young fans, female fans, they've always been
Ridiculed,
but
yeah.
they are the backbones of the industry.
Oh yeah,
We
100%.
wouldn't have the Beatles' power if the fangirls.
The way the narrative about the Beatles has changed
Yeah.
over the last like
Yeah.
60 years or
Yeah.
whatever is insane.
It's
They were a
crazy.
boy band with all these female fans, and now they're like
Those
rock
icons.
legends or
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly.
And it's like more masculine, I guess, in a way.
Exactly. But like fangirls are what make the industry so
Yeah.
strong. Like without women, without girls.
Yeah, if you
Yeah.
look at the Backstreet Boys, like they just like they were very poppin' in the 90s, but right now they still do music
Yeah.
and they still go to, like do
Those
concerts and
women
whatever.
are dedicated.
Those
They
women
still
are
go see
like
them
they
perform.
still they
We
have
hold your
fans.
career.
I'm gonna
We
be
feed
40
you.
still trying to fight for my BTS concert
Yes.
tickets. Like,
And I'm sorry, but I liked One Direction because I genuinely like their song, and I still like them. Like when I'm in my car,
I don't want to be.
when I'm in my car, I
mean.
would still like listen to One Direction, and I still like think it's a bop. You know?
No, they had
Yeah.
beautiful voices. It's just the performances.
No, but I think that here's the thing with One Direction
There's
is
that one video of them on X Factor trying to dance, and it's
no,
terrible.
but they like at the beginning of their career, especially on X Factor, they were kind of being coached as they were trying to make them into a boy band, and a very typical boy band that dances, and that wear like little outfits and whatever. But as they grew, they kind of made a joke out of it, and I don't know if you see, but in their music videos, they do little choreographed dance, but it's very much a joke. They go like this.
It's true.
And like, but they obviously like they're laughing at themselves, you know.
It's true.
That's why I like it, because I think it's like
it's
different.
Yeah, because I remember when One Direction came, I liked them at first. Like I was one of the ones that wanted to go in
the
front
Video
of Music
Diaries.
Plus.
You would watch the Video Diaries.
No,
okay.
But I wanted to go to Music Plus when like they came for the first time in Montreal. But me, Justin Bieber, that was like my shame. Like it was my guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
I remember I would judge people. Like I'm so ashamed. I would judge people that were like such like GB fans.
Me
and
too.
they were like so like they had the posters and stuff like that. But I love this.
I listen
music.
to Justin Bieber more now than when I was 11. Never Say Never is like, but it's like ironic to me in my mind. His old songs from when he was like 16 or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's
and the
fun.
fact that he
They're
does
so
say
good.
like never say never, because like
Pop music as a whole is viewed as feminine and as superficial and as not real music and not good music, and it's like very annoying. Even, and this is a very recent example, I was on like a little car trip with there was someone else in the car, but like the driver was a guy, and I was like in the passenger seat, so I was in charge of picking the music, and I was like, okay, and I was trying to pick more like hip hop stuff, more like indie stuff, which I do listen to that stuff, but I was trying to cater to what I thought at least his musical interests were a little bit.
My God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's so funny.
I was
you
aware
say
of it
that.
in the moment, but it feels
you
like
feel
there's
afraid.
a pressure for what you are interested in, and it's very like everyone knows that I like K-pop because I host a radio show with that. And so one of my concerns is people putting me too much into that box or thinking I only like that, especially because there's a lot of negative connotations with that, a lot of misunderstanding. And there's also xenophobia that comes into play, and as well as the misogyny.
It's true.
And the toxic masculinity because of how the male singers dress and that they wear makeup, and they're not hiding it because, surprise, American celebrities, the men, they wear makeup too. It's just more subtle.
Just that they hide it.
And they don't talk about it. They have skincare routines too. They go get Botox and private trainers and diets and all that stuff too.
Yeah.
But it's a secret.
Definitely.
It's funny you say that, because I would always feel like the same as you just described. Every time someone would put me in charge of the music, I would feel like almost this pressure of like, oh my God, but like what I listen to is not what everyone here listens to. And like if I put on like a pop song, they're gonna like laugh at me because like, oh, like, yeah, this is like old. Like this was like nice like last week, but now it's like
last week.
No, but you know what I mean? I'm really like into pop music, and I'm like, I've always been ashamed of it, because at parties it was more like, you know, like dance and like I don't even know, like electro like music. Like I was never into that. And like, oh my God, I think the worst feeling is like when you're in a car and someone puts a song and everyone's like, yeah, and then you're like, you don't know it, and you're like, oh yeah, that one, yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. No, I think like you said, if I were in the presence of a man, I'd want to show that, like, you know, that's not like, I'm not only listening to girly R&B. I listen to I listened to some of rap.
Yeah.
So I only like showed J. Cole and Kendrick because that was my safe bet. But like I definitely want to masculinize my playlist in order for like them to see me as one of them.
Yeah. And the more
Problematic.
masculine and Western music and certain genres are just, they're good music. They're real music. And it's exhausting. And I still like honestly do feel that need to justify and explain, be like, oh no, the song is actually really good. It's about blah, 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 blah. And going into my whole spiel about like how deep this like pop song by BTS is, for example. But it's like, I don't need to do that.
Can't I just say I
if they're
love the
so
song?
close-minded and they just like immediately assume that, like, that's not someone I want to impress
Engage,
or be close to anyways.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
And I think it just made me think, actually, I think the first time I really like experienced like the Not Like Other Girl was actually in primary school, because I was really into Billy Talent, and like they're like a rock band, very like intense rock.
I thought I was
and
one person.
no, but like there was this other guy in my like school year that was also really into that band.
Yeah.
And he would, I remember like,
Elementary, that's so specific.
Yo.
I don't
No,
remember having people I liked in elementary school besides like Disney Channel people.
oh no,
loved
it was, I
Rihanna,
mean,
Beyonce. Oh, I was crazy about
I was maybe a little bit too young to listen to
But that wasn't what my
Talent.
that wasn't what my parents listened to, so I didn't like know about like pop culture until I like got a cell phone really when I was in like high school.
Same.
Because my parents weren't like listening to that type of stuff; they were listening to their like alt rock, and I didn't care about that.
Yeah.
I don't know
But
those
here's
people,
the thing:
so.
before, I was gonna say before your time. Again, I'm not that old, but me, like when I was in primary school, we didn't have like internet or cell phones. The way we would like keep up with like trends in music was Music Plus and the countdown.
Oh,
so
I
there
loved
was
it.
So there was a
Okay.
countdown that and like
I never watched that.
It was
so,
so
and that's how
great.
like that's how like my sister and I we learned about Billy Talent, and we
That
really
was
liked
the wave,
that
yeah.
band. And I remember this guy who was also into it, like when he first like learned that I was into it, it was almost a shock of like, oh my god, you know, you're a girl and you like this rock band, so like you're a cool girl,
and,
you know.
and those reactions, they give you validation.
They do.
It gave me, oh my god, you have no
Exactly.
idea. I was like, I felt like I was so validated, and I really
Yeah.
felt like I was separating myself from the other girls,
Mm-hmm.
because I was really like not like the other girls, and I was like, hey, like I actually like rock music. So
But do you?
Yeah, I feel the need to overemphasize the other genres of music that I do listen to above mainstream pop, which I don't really listen to mainstream American pop anymore, but yeah.
Yeah. No. Well, I think for me it's a little different since it was like. There's race that comes into play, like culture that comes into play. To me, I was more confronted with Alaba's black music. So I was all into Rihanna and Beyonce at 5. So it was like I didn't necessarily have this thing about feeling different about my music taste with girls and stuff like that. But it was a little bit more intense with fashion for me. I needed to
see
show
that.
that I wasn't the girly girl. I needed to show that I was like a little bit more tomboy-ish, or that I wouldn't adhere to the trends right away. Like I remember when I was in fourth.
Oh, that was a thing for me too. It's like, oh, I don't follow trends.
I don't follow trends. Okay, girl, you're 9. You can't. You don't have the money for it anyways. I remember I was in 4th grade and all the girls would dress in Joshua Parrots.
Oh my god, I remember that trend too.
remember, right?
And I
could
to
never
this day,
afford
I have
it.
never owned an item of
me
that. I
neither.
didn't even like it, and I couldn't afford
I
it
didn't like it
anyways.
either.
And I always thought it was stupid, which gave me validation of like my snobbery, and I'm not like other girls. Like that's so
Exactly.
stupid.
Exactly. I had
And it
the
actually
same
kind of
feeling.
was. like Justin Bieber, for example.
Yeah.
That was a little more mean spirited.
Yeah, exactly. Like I had the same feeling, and like I felt validated in judging the girls that would like wear, but it's just because I couldn't afford it. Because if I actually could, I would have worn that Joshua Parrots.
Same. Yeah, I wish I was as woke as you were, but me, it was actually, I didn't wear Joshua but I wanted to.
You wanted
That's
it.
just
Yeah.
one example, though. Other trends, I did definitely want to own those items, but I couldn't because I wasn't about to beg my mom to buy me something every
sir.
single time.
Yeah.
Like my mom would have said no anyways.
Yeah.
My mom would have told me straight up, no, that's a trend. It's stupid. That item's actually ugly. Like,
Yeah, I remember with skinny jeans when it first started to be popular.
Yeah.
Like, I was in 3rd grade, maybe, like stuff like that. My mom, because I'm a church girl, right? So we wouldn't be able to wear those type of stuff, and it took a while for my mom to actually buy me skinny jeans, like when it was the only item you could find in the store,
Yeah.
basically.
She like didn't have the choice.
Yeah, so like that's the one. That was another trend that I would. Just because I was jealous, I would judge girl for because they could wear it and they were
Yeah, but in the end, it was really just because they could afford it. Yeah.
basically honestly.
Same. I can relate totally to that. Like I would always like judge. Let's say like this girl would get like, she would have like the chance to meet Justin Bieber because she got like the VIP ticket.
Yes.
I would just be like, no, it's just like, oh, I'm not like that girl. Like, but it's
don't
like clearly
listen.
it's like I can't afford that.
I can't afford that. Just say that. If you don't, if
Yeah.
you can't afford it, just say that.
Yeah.
It's like with makeup. Like when we started, like when girls start makeup around maybe 13, 14, I had many friends that started makeup. I had no skills or no money, no money for it. So I was just like, yeah, I don't really like makeup. I like to stay natural. Like,
yeah.
and I was really that type of girl. And there was this meme on Twitter that just said, girl, if you can't do your makeup and you can't afford it, just say that.
Yeah.
Just say that. And honestly, it attacked younger me. Honestly, because it was really problematic. I used to be really toxic in my head. I wouldn't just say it out loud, but like be very toxic
me too.
with girls like that. Yeah.
And to relate back to what you were saying about having to justify things, I think I really got that so last year in university, I was not in journalism yet, but I started doing my minor, and which was women's studies. But at the time, I was enrolled in it as my major. And then once I got into journalism, I just asked them to switch it
to a minor.
To a minor, exactly. So every time people would ask me, like, what's your major? Like, oh, you go to Concordia, what's your major?
Yeah.
And I would say, like, women's studies. I would always feel the need to justify,
Well,
like,
that's
no,
why.
but, like, I'm going to journalism after.
Wow.
Well, that's the
Like-
thing with like all arts, humanities type degrees, I would say. When I was in stage up, I studied liberal arts, and I mean, no one knows what liberal arts
Yeah,
is, which is
and-
valid. So I did like have to explain what that is, and there was always the questions of what are you going to do after, and I was like,
Yes.
oh, you can do lots of things. Like you can go to law school. Law school was like always the first example. And even now, like when I tell people what I study, it's always like I tell them about journalism first. My other major is creative writing because journalism is like
It's the more
even-
potent one.
It's more
Yeah.
professional and a little bit more potent. And even then, there's judgment, obviously.
Yeah.
But another example is I used to be, well, I still am into drag, but I was more into that. I'm someone who kind of hyper focuses on stuff, and I like
Same.
obsess a little bit.
Yeah.
So I used to be like way more into drag, and so that like kind of became a thing, like a niche. And I was like, oh no, guys, I like other stuff too.
Yeah,
And I had to justify that, or I felt I had to justify that and explain that. And it was really interesting. And there's this drag queen I like, Trixie Mattel, and she always talks about how her fans are mainly young women, and they're the ones who like really support her and buy tickets for her shows and buy her merch, and they like, you know, bring all their friends, and they're really the ones who support drag, and that applies to all other areas.
Core fan base. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. And same for like when I say I'm a feminist. Like I feel the need to justify, like, oh, I'm not like that kind of feminist, because I would just get the judgment. Like, because when you say you're a feminist, I feel like people get to like certain images really quickly to their heads.
Definitely.
I haven't really used that label on myself in a while. I feel like I really, really used it when I was like 13, 14, 15. And I don't so much nowadays. I just like through my words and
Yeah, they'll
beliefs,
see.
like
They'll see.
it comes across. And I also understand now that not everyone needs to identify as a feminist, and that doesn't mean that they don't believe women deserve equal rights.
Yeah.
And you don't need a
'Cause that
label
was
for
what I saw
everything.
when I was like way more childish.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also labels.
Yeah. Definitely.
yeah, because labels basically just help other people understand you in a sense. So it is still a debate to see if that the term is still to be used. But I think now it's like there are so many ways of interpreting.
Yes.
Sorry, y'all.
Yeah, the R's are
It's
hard.
early, okay?
Yes. But there are so many ways to interpret it. Anyways, but what's awesome about this podcast is that we get to also define it, redefine it, and at the end of the day, it's always about uplifting other women, which is what we're trying to fight.
Yeah,
with
we
this
try.
internalized misogyny conversation we're having. So
Yeah, it's been a recent thing for me to see my own internalized misogyny. It's all in retrospect. Time is really key.
definitely.
I mean, I'm just
Yeah.
turning 20, so like that stuff isn't that far away. Like I'm thinking of like high school stuff or even more recent stuff. I'm able to be more self-aware about that. It doesn't necessarily change how I feel, but I think it's still good to be aware of it because I mean, it's hard to have no internalized misogyny.
No.
Like that's
Yeah,
not how
no.
that. It's complex. It's internalized.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, there's no way
I think being aware of it is how you can gradually get rid of it.
No,
I guess.
actually, I think as a feminist or as someone who just wants equality for women, that's the first homework or thing you can do to make a change is to deconstruct those ideas that society puts on you. And I think we all did quite a good work, and we're still doing it. So I'm proud of us.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
Yeah, and I think quickly to just touch on something that happened recently in the media and where we could really see that is when this user on Twitter put, the picture of Kendall Jenner modeling. I don't know if it was a bikini or underwear, but, and then she put it right next to, in comparison to Alyssa Carson, who is 19 years old, and she's like part of like the NASA like program for like youth and apparently she's gonna be like, she's on the team to like go to Mars. And she basically put them against each other and said like, hey, look, like our society really like emphasizes on beauty over brains because one of these two women is very well known and like almost praised in our society, whereas the other one is
I would
barely
argue that
known.
she is not praised at all. I would argue that she is more mocked and hated than she is.
At the end of the
praised and
day,
loved.
she is the most
There's a lot of
known.
problems with Kendall Jenner and other people
Of
like
course.
her, but the problem isn't that she's feminine and she models. The problems are like
Yeah, no, for sure.
nepotism,
I know, but I don't
cultural
think,
appropriation.
I don't think that was the point of the author of the tweet either. I don't think that was her point. I think her point was really just to say that, I don't think Kendall Jenner is like admired by everyone. She's for sure mocked for a lot of things, but at the end of the day, she's the one who is like more well known, and she's the one who makes more money than the astronaut.
I think the two persons could have been replaced by two other different people, and the message would have
For
still
sure.
been the same.
Yeah. But that created a whole debate because
did.
some people were saying she's valid in that, like I didn't even know who that girl was, and it's amazing that she's gonna go to Mars and nobody's talking about it.
Yeah.
But then there were other people who were saying, it's actually pitting women against each other.
Yeah, the two are valid, definitely. I think the trope of the super feminine woman, but has been reclaimed by a lot of
Even Kendall Jenner herself, I feel like she's kind of like not like other girls. I feel like she's sort of a tomboy image she has a little bit. Like she is a little less feminine than her sisters, a little less makeup, plastic surgery. Like I think she tries to market herself as more natural and a little bit more tomboy and like chill than her sisters. That's sort of my impression as someone who does not keep up with the Kardashians.
Yeah, but then when you put her against like an astronaut, she's the hyper feminine one.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
she's still a model,
Just
right?
because she's just as a model, even without like how you look, just as a model is viewed as very feminine, which
Exactly.
there's a lot to unpack there.
Exactly.
And also, some people were saying you can't compare the two because it's not like it's
Yeah.
No, it's
Those
so
are
like
two different
random to
fields,
me.
and-
Like, and yes, Kendall Jenner obviously is more rich and more famous, but like that's a little overrated. This girl's gonna get a lot more respect, and she's very successful already.
Yeah.
She's 19 apparently. Like, so I don't know. I'm not bothered about it either way.
Yeah. I think the thing is, those are two different, like, they have two different audiences too, right? People, like, the job of Kendall Jenner is entertainment.
Yeah.
So she is entertaining us, right?
Yeah.
She is showing, like, of course she's going to be noticed because that's her job.
Yeah, her job is
Yeah.
to be
Her-
a public figure.
Exactly.
And this other girl's job is to go to Mars.
Exactly.
And at the end of the day, it's good that like our entertainers are famous, but our
And she probably
doctors,
doesn't
lawyers,
have like a PR person
and
to
like our astronauts are not famous, because that would be very fucking weird if
It
like
would.
all the people, all the like respectable jobs were famous.
That's the thing, is
Exactly.
fame is like more accessible now than it ever has been in a
Yeah.
way. And it's
I mean, she kind of blew
Weird.
up, like Alyssa Carson, like the astronaut. She kind of blew up after this, and now like
you
she's
say so.
she's kind of more famous now because people were not aware of her before, and now they're like, oh. And now I think like she grew a lot in followers on Instagram after that. So.
but who cares? She probably doesn't really care if what she's doing is
still
working
doing
with
the job.
NASA.
she never like commented on that tweet and how it probably made her more famous. Like she was just doing her own thing with NASA, and she probably, like you said, she probably doesn't care.
Yeah, basically. And yes, I think we should elevate successful women in different fields, and not only in the entertainment industry, but it's not like, it is a necessity because it allows for more representation, especially for women. But at the end of the day, that's not their job. Like,
I'm not someone who feels the need to make sure that all pioneering women, successful women in all fields, I don't think they need to be like showcased for being women in their field.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
just appreciate them
yeah, that's it.
in their own field, but we don't need to have Alyssa Carson is her name.
Yep.
I don't need to see her on the cover of magazines or
Yeah.
on television.
No.
And I don't think she needs that either.
No.
Yeah, I'm kind of over that. I'm past that.
No, exactly. I think at this point it's like, okay, we can have both living in society, and we can have both. There's not, and there's no
Exactly.
need to necessarily compare them.
Yeah, we can have a whole conversation about fame as well. Especially over the past year, I feel like the role of celebrities has really changed, and the perception of
It
them
has.
has
It
really
has.
changed.
Yeah, for sure.
It's interesting. I know this is out of the blue, but I did kind of want to talk about this a little bit. So one of the more sinister aspects of internalized misogyny is when women defend or excuse acts of misogyny and abuse. So a good example of that would be a woman being sexually assaulted and talking about her clothing or what state of mind she was in or where she was or whatever. I mean, when it comes to that, the whole victim blaming concept is you want to feel like the world is a safe place with rules, and if you follow the rules, like bad things aren't going to happen to you. So there's a little bit of that at play there for sure.
Yeah, and I think it's a lot of women trying to excuse men's behavior to sort of get that validation from
Exactly,
men, and
exactly.
be sort of a part of the boys' club, because they're trying to get that validation. And
Really? That's interesting.
yeah,
I don't
Like,
really see that
especially
there.
in high
'Cause
school.
I don't feel like most women consciously think that. Like,
no,
I
it's
want-
not. It's not conscious, but it's like if
don't
you're
know.
if you're gonna go with that, like I would say, like especially in high school, like you would see, that not like other girls who's really trying to excuse bad behaviors from other men. Unconsciously, she was doing it
does
to get
come
validation.
to acceptance, competition between women as well, but like in the most sinister way possible.
And also a lot of a lot of the women who are going to excuse that behavior are the ones that already adhered to what society told them to do.
They're succeeding.
Exactly. I succeeded. So why didn't she? Like, I'm not going to excuse her behavior. She didn't wear the right clothing. I did. So, I think that comes also into play. They feel like since they kind of adhere to social expectations, the women that fall victim to men's violence should too, even though that's BS.
And it's also it's hard sometimes for people to call out their friends, their family members. You don't want to believe that your friend, this guy, could do such a terrible thing, and so you need to sort of justify and defend that in some way, or just totally deny that it happened at all.
Yeah, I think it's tough to call out misogyny, like, especially
when it's personal.
Yeah,
is when it's hard. Me talking about Harvey Weinstein is different than talking about a family member who says something kind of misogynistic.
Yeah.
I mean, that's never really stopped me from calling it before.
Same.
It doesn't always make me popular at family dinners.
Oh my God. I totally get it.
Yeah. But I think we're doing a great job at, like, not great job, but those conversations have been way more active in the recent years, and that we've been deconstructing a lot of this internalized misogyny a lot with the conversations that we have, with the video essays that we see on YouTube, and also with the podcasts like that talk about these issues, and women are really working to change this narrative, and I see a change.
Same.
I just think that when it comes to misogyny, sometimes we focus a little bit too much on men, which valid. And we kind of have this image that, like, women, we're all in this together, we're all on the same page, and it's just not true. We have our own shit to work on, and our internalized misogyny is because of the patriarchy. So I mean, it does come back to them. But you have to work on yourself and your female friends and family members and coworkers as well.
It is very still like a very internal problem for sure.
And don't be afraid to get checked. Like I was checked by my friend. Y'all just be humble and take the critique, because you might as well change, and you might as well learn something. So,
And I think at the end is just live and let live, just like, can we stop? Can we stop fucking like judging people for what they like, for what they listen to, for what they wear? Like,
it comes down to this, honestly. So I think
I think it's nice to wrap up.
We solved misogyny.
We did. We did. We did it, y'all.
All right. Well, thank you, Nadia and Dorothy, for being here today.
Thank you.
It was really nice conversation.
For having me again.
It was.
Yeah. And for those of you listening or watching, we'll see you in the next episode.
Yes.
Bye.